Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, are you ready? No. I said, are you ready? Because the boys are back in town. Let's not waste any more time. The bomb drops now. Hello and welcome to Season 2, the Comeback Tour, whatever you want to call it. This is the Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast, the show that is for the fans, by the fans. I am your phenomenal host, Mr. Podcasting, Chris Belcher, and of course, I could not do this show without the whole podcasting show. My brother from another mother, Jared Justice. He's in the house. We are back, man. How are you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling good. I'm glad to be back. Glad to be back in the saddle, and I'm ready to roll, man.
I am pumped, man. This is awesome. If you are watching us on YouTube, this is going to be an every episode thing. You're going to be able to watch us do this show. If you think we're hilarious just listening to us, man, watch us because it's only going to get better from here. But if you're good with your traditional audio, you can find us anywhere that you find your podcast. Make sure you download us every Monday and Wednesday where we will bring you brand new content. Follow us all over social media. We are at PBW Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Of course, you can buy one of these fancy t-shirts that I'm wearing. See? You can buy one of those and a couple more designs at prowrestlingtees.com/PBW podcast. And if that's not enough and you forget all of these things that I'm talking about, look at our fancy little ticker right down here on the bottom. It's going to tell you everything you need to know, how to follow us, where to subscribe, all the things, when new episodes are coming out, that sort of thing. Ooh, yeah. See, listen, if you're watching this show, it's already hilarious. All right, man, let's get down to it. I said it off the top, Season 2, the Comeback Tour, whatever you want to call it. We're back, man, but where have we been? All of you avid listeners are listening. Where have we been? Jared and I are both considered essential workers, and COVID was insane. We stopped recording probably around May of last year, and that's when this whole thing really hit the fan, so to speak. So we're both essential workers. I just graduated, finally finished my degree at Full Sail University. More on that in some future episodes. So, man, a lot of that really took up our time. We just ran out of time doing the podcast. Not that we don't love it. We just ran out of time.
Yeah. So I work at a hospital. And so, yes, I am a frontline worker. Been pretty busy with that. Made some good success. Hit some goals that I wanted to achieve. And yeah, but that took up a lot of time, man.
Yep.
And during all this, there was a long time that you couldn't work out, and you couldn't go see people. I couldn't, come to Tennessee, come to Nashville.
Yeah.
I'd have to seclude myself for 2 weeks, in order just to come there and visit you. So that sucked. I couldn't go home for fear that I would give it to mom and dad. So, I mean, yeah, man, it just kind of, I think everybody, it kind of led to some depressing times, some times that really tried everybody. But here we are on the other end. So let's make the most of it.
That's right. We are both fully vaccinated at this point, and that means that we'll be seeing each other a lot more often, especially this
two-time vaccinated Hall of Fame.
Oh, man, that's it. So we're going to be hanging out this coming weekend for WrestleMania. We'll get into that a little bit later. But for full disclosure, you and I have only seen each other twice since we recorded last. I mean, that's the world that we're living in. A lot of Zoom calls, a lot of FaceTime, all this other stuff. But we are back bringing you wrestling content twice a week, every week, maybe even more. who knows? We got a lot of stuff in store for you guys. Hope that you are ready for round 2, season 2, the comeback tour. Again, we're going to fill you in on that at the end of the show, so stay tuned. We've talked about where we have been in all of this, but where has the wrestling business been in the last year or so, 10, 11 months? What has happened in the wrestling business? Well, fans were taken away and slowly brought back. WWE created the award-winning, critically acclaimed Thunderdome, as they like to remind us. The WWE Network has moved to Peacock, and wrestlers have made comebacks and switched companies and all that. And to top all of that off,
What
Jared,
Peacock? Okay.
yes, Peacock, yes, the network. Come
Peacock.
on.
The turkey.
To top all of that off, as if all of that wasn't enough, the forbidden door has been opened. Chris Jericho is appearing on the WWE Network, the Broken Skull Sessions, as an AEW contracted wrestler. What in the world is happening? I mean, when we were texting about this, our first thought legit was, is this real? And I think that was everybody's first thought. Now that we've had some time for this to sink in, these are two of your favorite wrestlers. What are your thoughts on this forbidden door being opened, especially this close to WrestleMania?
I think that Vince and Tony both realized that it would be in their best interest to let this happen. You have Stone Cold, possibly the most famous wrestler of all time. And then you have Chris Jericho, maybe one of the best wrestlers of all time, who also has a band, who has done so much. He's wrote 3 books or 4?
4 now.
4. He wrote 4 books. He has his own band. He was a wrestler in ECW, and WCW, and WWE, and now in AEW. And I think he went overseas, maybe even to Japan a little bit.
Japan, Mexico. I think he wrestled in Europe some
maybe
before
Germany.
Yep, Germany. That's exactly right.
So, and so you just have these 2 icons, and I think that for once, Vince McMahon saw that there is a world outside of this bubble that Bruce talks about, that whenever you're in WWE that you live in. And he realized that this could help out WrestleMania weekend. And Tony Khan realized, hey, during WrestleMania weekend, I have my biggest star on WWE television, on the clock, on Peacock. How can it get any bigger? I mean, it's a win-win for everybody.
It really is, man. I mean, everybody benefits from this. WWE not only brings back one of the fans' most beloved wrestlers, but they also bring back one of their most beloved wrestlers. I got to give credit to Sam Roberts on this. I was listening to his podcast earlier today, and Sam, his comment about this was Jericho is always ahead of the curve. He is always on the cutting edge of everything. If you look at writing books, he was, aside from Mick Foley, Jericho was one of the most successful wrestler authors. You look at Jericho and his band that you mentioned. It took them a while to garner the success that they have, but they have 3 top 10 hits on the Billboard charts, have toured around the world, opened for some of the biggest bands out there. Jericho's been in television shows. He was a finalist for Dancing with the Stars. I mean, he's done all these things in the pop culture world. Oh, by the way, he's had a 25, 30-year wrestling career on top of it, won multiple world champions, was the first undisputed champion, and just all of these things. And, oh, yeah, he was the first big signee for AEW, revealed in their first press conference, jumping ship. So now he's known as a WWE legend. Now he's known as an AEW star, and the 2 worlds are coming together. I think, honestly, man, this is a testament to both Stone Cold and Chris Jericho and the trails that they have blazed throughout their career, because Vince McMahon is not going to just approve anybody like this to do Stone Cold show. I think Austin's done so much and Jericho's done so much that, like you said, it's a win-win on both sides, and Vince is doing a favor for both of them.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Stone Cold, Stone Cold, Stone Cold. You know, just like what you were talking about. We just covered Jericho, but to go more in detail, in depth on Stone Cold. I mean, you look at him, Hollywood Blondes. He was one of the ones that in WCW with Flying Brian Pillman, he broke down this door that they were a tag team and they were never supposed to get over, but they did.
That's
And
it.
then even after that, he joined the Dangerous Alliance. I think he was part of the Stud Stable. And he broke out as a singles wrestler.
Yep.
And then he goes to WWE. He does the whole deal with the Ringmaster. His wife says that about his tea becoming stone cold, so he becomes stone cold. And then after that, his career got cut short due to Owen Hart dropping him on his head. But after that, who was the first big wrestler / wrestling podcast that you heard about? It was Stone Cold.
That's it.
Then, who do you see on all these shows? With like the little Japanese people that are like jumping into water and getting knocked off things. And then you go back to Stone Cold's Ranch and you have, even on Tough Enough, you had Stone Cold. I mean, all these different shows, both of these guys broke down so many barriers. That they finally came back together and they made this happen where AEW kind of joins WWE during WrestleMania weekend and it benefits everybody. So, I mean, it's unbelievable.
I think, like I said, I think Jericho and Austin are an exception to this rule. I don't know that you'll see many others breaking this specific barrier. Maybe Christian, since he recently joined, that might be a good get if that's available. But honestly, man, do you see anybody else really being able to break this barrier? Is this a future partnership that we could see flourish and do other things? I mean, we know that WWE has partnered with Smoky Mountain and USWA and ECW and all these other promotions in the past, but never like their big competition. Is there a working relationship going forward? And if so, how big is it, or is it just, minimal, like Jericho appearing on the show?
Well, even to what you just said, if I'm not mistaken, there was a time when Vince McMahon and Ted Turner actually worked together a little bit.
Late 80s, I think was that around the first Clash of Champions, something like that, maybe?
Something like that. I think it was before 87.
Maybe it was earlier than that. You're right. Maybe it was earlier than that.
But anyways, I think this is the first step to maybe if WWE has an AEW superstar, that AEW lets WWE play some video footage and vice versa. If AEW gets a WWE star, maybe the WWE allows AEW to play some footage, in their promos or hyping them up or their video packages or whatever. I don't think it's going to be a huge step, but I think we could see some little tiny baby steps, video packages, stuff like that. Things like that.
Things like that,
Swing at LA for the working man.
That's exactly right. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think the first step is video packages. I think video library sharing is huge because then that opens the door for WWE to further tell an AJ Styles backstory or further tell a Shinsuke Nakamura backstory or what have you, because you have that Japanese stuff. And we know clearly that Japan is working with AEW. So that helps kind of broker that deal, because AEW really doesn't have a back catalog And WWE is not going to go out and promote AEW. But I do think this is a working relationship that could be taken advantage of, obviously, because we haven't seen the two big Titan companies working together. So this is definitely something new on this. So that show is going to air the weekend of WrestleMania, the Sunday of WrestleMania. I think you corrected me and you said it might be after night one of WrestleMania. So it's either after night one or before night two. It's somewhere in there. So we will be together this weekend, and I'm looking forward to checking this out and watching it. If you're a wrestling fan and you don't have the WWE Network on Peacock, do yourself a favor. There's a promotion right now. This is not just a shameless plug. It's $250 a month right now. Please go get it. It's absolutely going to be insane just for this right here. This is worth it. So, next, to move on,
the $250 is not a lot to pay for the Peacock.
That's true. You're exactly right.
The turkey.
So before we get though to WrestleMania and before we get to the Broken Skull sessions with Chris Jericho, NXT Stand and Deliver, the 2-night event. Let's get down to it, man. Let's run through the card. Let's preview night number 1 and night number 2. Of course, you can watch it all on the Peacock. It's going to be there both nights. So, card for night number 1. I'm going to read this down real quick and then give me some thoughts, some high points, those kind of things. All right. So, night number 1, a match that I'm actually looking forward to. Pete Dunne versus Kushida, 1-on-1. You've got for the vacant tag team championship, a triple threat match, MSK versus the Grizzled Young Veterans versus Legado del Fantasma, a 6-man gauntlet eliminator match for a shot at the North American Championship the next night. That's going to feature Leon Ruff, Isaiah Swerve Scott, Bronson Reed, Cameron Grimes, Dexter Lumis, and L.A. Knight.
I think Bronson wins that.
I agree. I totally agree with that. For the NXT UK Championship, we have Walter defending against your favorite and mine, Tommaso Ciampa. And then to headline night number 1 for the NXT Women's Championship, Io Shirai defends against Raquel Gonzalez. First off, right off the bat, what sticks out to you as the match that might steal the show for night number 1?
Dunne, Kushida. I think that will be the style of wrestling that you see in a lot of your fans who claim to be this new era and that like AEW and that like NXT. This is going to be the match for you.
Yep.
Now, whenever it comes to what I prefer, I think Walter and Tommaso Ciampa is going to be that match. I think that I think it will be brutal.
Yep.
I think we might have Hardway getting bust. A little bit of blood. And I don't think they will be zipping, if you know what I mean. I think that could possibly come Hardway. And I think that's going to be your match for the old school fans who liked that gritty WCW back in the early 90s, who liked the tough man competitions, or what was it called? Brawl for All?
Brawl for All, yeah.
That just like to see, UFC, that just like to see somebody get hurt.
Right.
I think we're going to see a good finish to that match, and that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
See, I would agree with you, but I even have it here in my notes. I want to be excited for this match because I'm a huge Tommaso Ciampa fan, and I want nothing more than for him to be back in the main event picture. But I just don't like Walter's style, and I can't get into it. So, I want to be excited for this match, but I just can't be. I don't know.
Walter is almost like a modern day Andre the Giant. But
okay,
I think since we have Ciampa that's going to be in there with him, that can bring a fast pace, I think that will speed Walter up a little bit and potentially make for a great match. I really do.
So talk to me about Raquel Gonzalez and Io Shirai. It's already been announced that they are headlining night number 1 for the NXT Women's Championship. You have just expressed that you would rather, you're looking forward to Walter versus Ciampa. Do you think those matches should have been flipped? Do you think Walter and Ciampa should have headlined night number one? Or are you good with this Io Shirai, Raquel Gonzalez feud that has been, they've done a nice job of building it over the last couple of weeks, ultimately to headline night number one?
I think that without getting into politics and the way of the world today, I think that WWE is trying to push for women headlining. I mean, you're going to have this match headlining, then you're going to have Sasha headlining, and I mean, so that's two out of four big nights of WWE headlined by women. And I'm not saying that they don't deserve it.
Sure.
I'm just saying that I think there might be a push for that right now. I don't know what is going to be better. I think EO has an awesome opportunity to really do good in her match. I think Sasha has a really good opportunity to do good in her match. Do I think those matches are guaranteed to be better than some other matches on the card? No, I do not.
Yeah.
But they can be. There's that potential there.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I'm looking forward to the match. I guess that question was kind of unfair because we don't know what the match is going to produce. So would it be worthy of being a headline match? We don't really know till we get there. Am I more excited about this feud than I was 3 weeks ago? Yeah, I am. But that being said, well, it's a wait and see, obviously. Let's move to night number 2. Let's go down the card for night number 2. An incredibly stacked card. You've got Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart defending the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship against Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. You've got a ladder match for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship, Jordan Devlin and Santos Escobar. You've got Johnny Gargano taking on the winner of the Gauntlet Eliminator match for the NXT North American Championship. You have an unsanctioned match between Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole as part of a double main event. And the second part of the double main event is for the NXT Championship. Karrion Kross gets his shot at Finn Balor. Night number 2 is stacked, man. I hate to make you choose, but what are you looking forward to the most?
Probably Balor and Kross. I mean, especially since we get to see Scarlett. If you remember, I told you that Scarlett would rise very fast in the ranks if she made it to a WWE product, a WWE show. So I think that's going to be maybe my favorite. But I mean, Adam Cole, man, you can't ever bet against him. He's like a young Shawn Michaels. So I don't know.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Speaking of Shawn Michaels, he came out and set up the ladder match for Jordan Devlin and Santos Escobar. I think that match is going to steal night number 2. As good as Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly is going to be, and as good as Balor and Kross is going to be, I think the ladder match steals the show on night number 2. But I digress. Back to Adam Cole. You mentioned him. And you mentioned Shawn Michaels. Let's go there. When Shawn Michaels put the ladder in the ring for Devlin and Escobar, he came back through the curtain and the camera caught him and Adam Cole in this like 10-second stare down. Do you think? I mean, the question is there. I just have to ask it. What do you think are the chances that that match actually takes place down the road?
So here's the thing, man. I think that WWE, specifically Triple H, would not have done that if he didn't think there was at least a 40-60% chance, not in our favor, not in what we want, which is to see Shawn come back.
Right.
But there's that 40% chance that Shawn has said something that leads him to believe that Shawn would like to rectify that.
Yep.
atrocity of a match that we saw him in last.
Well, yeah, he just did an interview recently where he said that. He was very regretful about coming back. He wanted to just do it with his buddies, and it didn't turn out the way he wanted it to. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. So I'm with you, man. WWE or NXT, sorry, production made the specific decision to hold that shot for a reason. Now, whether we get the match or not, I don't know, but they made that decision for a reason. I can't wait to find out. What about, speaking of Adam Cole, talking about Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, we have often talked about on this podcast and off air about how we feel like the Undisputed Era might not succeed without Adam Cole. He's really the glue that holds it all together. We have seen recently that Kyle O'Reilly has emerged as probably the number 2 guy, best wrestler probably behind Adam Cole. Now it is evident that there is no more Undisputed Era. Do you think this feud, back to the earlier question, do you think this feud would have been good enough to headline night number 1? Why do you think they made a double main event on night number 2 and didn't have this one headline?
I don't know, man. I think for this one, your expertise may be better than mine in coming up for that reason. All cards on the table. Chris knows this. I haven't watched as much lately. I have read. I have still watched. I have listened to podcasts. But I've slacked a little bit. And I think a lot of it's just because that we're not going to WrestleMania this year. We got screwed out of WrestleMania last year. And it's kind of just depressing. But we knew it wasn't going to be Bobby Fish. Every time you think of Bobby Fish, you think of smelling a fish. How could he ever rise to be number 2 against...
or the Matt Riddle? What's the Matt Riddle?
Oh, yeah. Well,
how much fish could Bobby Fish fry?
If Bobby Fish could fry if a Bobby Fish could fry fish.
That's it.
So, I mean, I do think Kyle O'Reilly, that he earned his spot. I think that he has an awesome showing. I think Adam Cole is great. And I don't know why that they chose to go this route. You tell me.
Do you think that Adam Cole, again, you just expressed that you haven't watched as much, but I think you can shed some insight on this. Do you think Adam Cole or Kyle O'Reilly needs the win more? Do you think Adam Cole needs that win to get back to the top, or does Kyle O'Reilly need that win to push him even further?
Man, if you're finally going to do Adam Cole going up to the main roster or going down to the main roster, ever how you want to look at it, I don't think he needs this win. I think this is a perfect time for Kyle O'Reilly to go ahead and beat him and for Adam Cole to kind of do the job on his way out. But if they're both going to stay in NXT, I don't think it really matters. If they're both going to stay, you can still do so many more good matches, ladder matches, cage matches, falls count anywhere, last man standing. I don't think it matters. But, I mean, it all goes to that Monday night after WrestleMania, that Raw. Are they going to have some people getting called down?
Or over?
The main roster? I don't know.
Right. Only time will tell. No, you're absolutely right about that. All right. You are listening or watching, depending on where you're at, to the Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Belcher. This is Jared Justice, my brother from another mother. We have just previewed NXT TakeOver, Stand and Deliver. What a show it's going to be. But now it's time to preview the granddaddy of them all, WrestleMania 37. You mentioned it just a few minutes ago. It's terrible that we're not there. Like, I can't even put it into words that we are not there. See, like, I feel like that 35, the last one we went to, was the last one. Like, I forget about last year because it basically it didn't happen because we were all set to go, and then 3 weeks ahead they pulled the trigger and put it in the Performance Center, and we were not able to go. And then, of course, they waited until 3 weeks ago to put the tickets on sale for this one because we didn't know how many people they were going to have. So we're not going again this year. And it just feels wrong, man. And I know it's going to be even worse when that video package hits and we hit the shot of the stadium for the first time and we see the set. Oh, I can just feel the blood boiling right now.
And one observation that I made, and me and you had talked about this, from that drone that was flying over top and recorded that footage that I'm sure most people have seen.
Yep.
I'm like 99.9% sure there's two ships. There's
there
the
is.
regular one, and then there's the ship for the stage.
Yep.
And that is awesome.
Oh, yeah. It looks incredible. It looks absolutely awesome. I cannot wait to see it. Let's run down the card for night number 1 of WrestleMania 37. Here we go. We have Cesaro versus Seth Rollins, which I think is going to be an awesome match. It's Cesaro's first singles match at a WrestleMania. You have a tag team turmoil match between, you've got Lana and Naomi, you've got Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose, you've got the Riot Squad, and you've got Natty and Tamina, with the winner getting a shot at Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax on night number 2. Then you have a steel cage match between Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon. You have the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, defending the Raw Tag Team Championships against AJ Styles and Omos. You've got Bad Bunny and Damian Priest taking on The Miz and John Morrison. Yes, if you're just tuning in and you haven't been watching, I said Bad Bunny. I didn't stutter. He is in a tag team match at WrestleMania. More on that in a little bit, I'm sure. Bob Lashley, as you like to call him, the almighty WWE champion, defends against Drew McIntyre. And then the rumored headline match for night number 1 of WrestleMania 37, Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair, the winner of the 2021 Women's Royal Rumble for the SmackDown Women's Championship. That's a lot to digest for night number 1, man. What stands out to you as maybe a show stealer, maybe a bold prediction? What do you think? I know you talked about Sasha and Bianca earlier. Is that who you're going with, or you go something else stick out to you?
I think this is Cesaro's do or die moment.
Yes, it is.
And I expect from this match what we thought we were going to get with AJ versus Nakamura.
Ooh, okay.
This has the chance, and I know you're going to poo-poo all over this because of AJ. But I think this has the potential to be the show stealer. And by gosh, Cesaro better make it happen. And I think if he brings it, that Seth Rollins will help him, and Seth will bring it.
Sure.
So I think that's the match that I'm most interested in.
Yeah.
I am curious to see what happens with Bob and with Drew. I'm curious. But I also think that Sasha and Bianca, they are going to go out there and they're going to put it all on the line, just like what Cesaro and Seth should. Those are your two matches. Those are the two matches that may jump out. And I think that they both better deliver.
100%, because Cesaro is in a spotlight where, he's been around for a while and this is his first big chance and he needs to deliver. And Bianca Belair's in the spotlight. She hasn't been around that long, but she's had the rocket strap to her. She's all the way to the top already in her first year on the main roster. She might main event WrestleMania in her first WrestleMania as a rookie. And, I think she wins the championship. So if you put Bianca in that spot to win the championship in her rookie year, she better deliver. Dadgummit. I'm just saying. I don't think there's anything more storyline wise that you can do with Sasha Banks as the champion. Not saying that she's not a good champion, because she's great. Obviously, she's probably one of my favorite women's wrestlers on the roster. But
she's very pretty too.
Well, So I think that her time has run its course, and I think it's time to move on. That's also my thoughts. I want to get your take on this. You mentioned Bob and Drew. I think it's going to be a hard-hitting affair for those of you who have followed the Drew and Sheamus storyline. They had some really hard-hitting matches last month. I mean, just brutal stuff. And I think you're going to see that with Bob. Here's my problem, though. A lot of people are saying, okay, Sasha and Bianca are going to headline night number 1. So WWE wants the first big entrance in front of fans to be this spectacular thing. So they're going to trot Drew McIntyre out there first, and this is going to open the show.
Yep.
That makes a lot of sense. What doesn't make sense to me is that Drew McIntyre was WWE champion for the better part of all of last year. So if he wins at WrestleMania, what's left for him to do? He's ran through literally everybody. What's left?
Excuse me. Man, Drew just got, I mean, he pulled that unfortunate card.
He did.
You know, he was supposed to have had this grandiose win last year when we were supposed to be there. It was supposed to be his crowning moment. But the thing that Drew has done very well, he has not, like, okay, so, you know, he wins right here. He wins the world title. Well, since that has happened, he has at least managed to keep it like a straight line. He didn't go down. He didn't go up. So I feel like he showed the company, he showed the fans that he can carry the WWE on his shoulders because he did it during a very difficult time.
Sure, he did.
But just like you said, he did these things in front of nobody live.
Yep.
And so now, to your question, what does he have to do? What does he have still to accomplish? He has to accomplish everything and more that he's already accomplished in front of a live audience. And that's the key.
It'll be interesting to see what they do with him. I'll be interested. I mean, obviously, things are set up for Drew to get his big win back in front of a crowd, for him to have that moment. I just don't know what there is left for him to do. Maybe we get Adam Cole jumping to Monday Night Raw, and you finally get Drew McIntyre versus Adam Cole. And Drew McIntyre's just holding on to that thing until he can drop it to Adam Cole. Well, maybe we get that.
A lot of times I even do this at work, man, because I work with mostly women. So they're all talking and going on and stuff, and I just go until somebody acknowledges me, until the conversation stops for a second. So I do that sometimes when you're talking too without thinking. But so I think that, like you said, where does he go from here? I think Drew is going to win. I think they've set it up. They had Bobby break away from the Hurt Business. They had King Corbin help Bobby to make sure that Bobby gets booed at WrestleMania. Yeah,
that's a good call.
What does that tell you? That most likely they're going to have Drew win. And what do you do after that? He accomplishes this in front of a live audience, and then you have the draft. And you bring people over from SmackDown or up or down from NXT, ever how you want to look at it. And you get Drew some new people to get in there with. I think that's where we're going. I don't know that that's the best move. I loved Bob with the Hurt Business. I love their suits, how they look like they were just like a kick butt group of people who were very professional and business-like. It was just a good look. It was like corporate rock times 4. But I think we're going towards a Drew win here. So.
I think if you piggyback onto your idea with the draft there, I think it would be a good idea to move Bob over to SmackDown, have him challenge Roman Reigns. If Roman Reigns is to come out of WrestleMania successful, I think that'd be a babyface Bob against Roman Reigns. I think that would be good. Because like you said, you do want Bob to get booed at Mania because you want Drew to get that cheer. But ultimately, they're moving Bobby away from the Hurt Business. You have him and MVP split up. Maybe you get a face Bobby Lashley kind of thing. Maybe King Corbin turns on him and Bob destroys King Corbin, and then you get babyface Bob. So, speaking of Roman Reigns, he is set to headline night number 2 in a triple threat match for the Universal Championship against Daniel Bryan and Edge. easily the match that everybody I think is looking forward to the most. That's going to headline night number 2, but also on night number 2, you have The Fiend versus Randy Orton. You have Big E defending the Intercontinental Championship against Apollo Crews. You have Asuka defending the Raw Women's Championship against Rhea Ripley. You've got a matchup of the best friends, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. You've got Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax taking on the winner of the tag team turmoil from the night before. And you've got Riddle defending the U.S. Championship against Sheamus. Night number 2, man. I'm putting you on the spot. You cannot pick the triple threat match. What stands out to you? What's your bold prediction?
Kevin Owens versus let's go. Hands down, man. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, they're stealing that show.
I was really hoping you would say that because I think the same thing. I think it's going to be awesome. I mean, this honestly would be like me and you in a match at WrestleMania against each other. It's exactly what it would be. These two guys are best friends. I could not be happier that WWE is letting them have this spot. If you remember, we had this spot just a little bit at both of their first WrestleManias in Dallas, WrestleMania 32. They were in that 6-man ladder match together. But now one-on-one in front of fans at WrestleMania, I'm pumped. The other match, though, that I'm looking forward to that I want to get your take on is Asuka and Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's Championship. Again, I'm of the mindset, just like I mentioned with Drew, I think Asuka's done all she can with the Raw Women's Championship. It's time to crown Rhea Ripley in front of some fans. What say you?
Man, Rhea, she has it all, dude. I mean, when she wants to fix herself up, I mean, she's beautiful.
Right.
Whenever that she wants to get in that ring, she's a dominating force. Whenever that you look at her, the way she's presented, it's a unique look. I mean, I've talked to you before, and I even said, I wonder why they had Rhea Ripley like cut her hair off and kind of fix her hair a little bit like mine, because she was just gorgeous with that long hair. But she looked like Charlotte. She looked like a lot of the other women. And now with this kind of spiked haircut or kind of slicked back and like the spikes sticking up and the leather look, she comes out, she throws up the horns, kind of like Edge. I mean, she's just very unique. And I think this is her night, man. I think it would be a huge, huge upset if you have Asuka win this match. I mean, what does that do for anybody?
Yep.
You have to have Rhea coming out of this the winner.
Yep. I 100% agree. I think this was 100% the case last year at WrestleMania where you had Charlotte and Rhea for the NXT Championship. I think that was exactly what you just said about Rhea was supposed to be last year. Charlotte was supposed to give her the rub. Rhea was supposed to get that big win and take off and really be the face of NXT on Wednesday nights on the USA Network. I truly believe that. But of course, COVID happened and, all those plans went to crap. So let's talk about it. The most anticipated match of both nights of WrestleMania. It's easily the best storyline across the WWE platform, Raw, SmackDown, NXT. It's Roman Reigns, it's Edge, and now it's Daniel Bryan. Triple threat match. Let's take away Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan for a second. Edge entered number 1 in the Royal Rumble this year, lasts the whole match, wins it, and now he will compete on night number 2 of WrestleMania for the Universal Championship on the 10-year anniversary of him announcing his retirement due to a broken neck. It's full circle, man. I cannot believe that one of my favorite guys is back.
Let's talk about it. It's a little Machine Gun Kelly for you right there. So let's talk about it. I think that, man, just like you said, there's such a story that can be told. Anyway, this goes with Edge. Does he conquer and become the champion? Is he sorely defeated and the youth has risen above him for now and he has to make maybe a comeback after WrestleMania to show that he can get, he can get up there, he can get on that same level with the youth of WWE today. Yep. and I'm not talking extremely young, but I'm talking the guys who were in their prime. Daniel
Yeah.
Bryan and Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns overall right now, never thought I'd say this. He's my dog. He's he's the big dog. He's my boy.
That's funny.
So deep down, man, I kind of want to see Roman just kick all their butts, but at the same time, I'm like, man, Edge. I want to see that fog shoot up. I want to see fireworks going off. I want to see him hold that title up. But the only bad thing is that Daniel Bryan could still win this.
Yes. I think, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think there are so many stories you could tell no matter who wins this match. I think the winner of this match is the fans, because this is going to be absolutely incredible between these three guys. Listen to this. So I just mentioned that Edge retired in 2011 due to his neck injury. That was 10 years ago to the day of night number 2 of WrestleMania. 2016, Daniel Bryan retired due to his concussion issues. 2018, Roman Reigns' leukemia comes back. 2021, they're headlining WrestleMania.
I'm getting some bad static feedback from you, dude. I don't know.
I don't know if that's me or if that's you or not. Anyway, so 2021, here we are, all three of them headlining WrestleMania. It's the show stealer to me. I think it's just going to be incredible. I think it's going to be awesome. We've talked all about both nights of WrestleMania. We've talked all about the good stuff that we are going to see. All of the high spots, all the good things. What are you not looking forward to about WrestleMania?
Not one.
What specifically about night number 1 are you not looking forward to?
With the exception of the Cesaro and Seth match, and then the Bianca and Sasha match, it just basically it feels like a Monday Night Raw, or it feels like a SmackDown. Just nothing sticks out. It just seems like basic WWE programming.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, I think night number 1 is going to be okay. I'm looking forward to AJ Styles going for that Grand Slam, baby. So hopefully that happens. I don't know. I still think it'll be okay, though. Regardless of how night number 1 goes, we are going to be coming to you live on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook page, and on Twitch. So make sure you follow us all over those places. Let me get there you go, right there. Follow us at PBW Podcast. There's that little fancy ticker we got going on for you. Make sure you follow us all those places, because we are coming to you live after WrestleMania, both nights. And heck, there may be even a third man that we bring in for that. Only time will tell. Who's the third man? Tune in on Saturday night and Sunday night to find out. And it will not be King Mabel. Just throwing that out there. So make sure you tune in. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitch. Follow us on Facebook at PBW Podcast, because that's where you're going to find all of that stuff. Speaking of live videos, man, you and I are going to do our best after all of the major pay-per-views and all the major events to go live for all of our listeners, all of our viewers, so we can get some instant reaction, some instant feedback. Man, that's one element that we've never done with this podcast. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. What say you?
Man, I think it's going to be awesome. I think that this is the one thing that has been missing from our show. We've had fans of our show tell us that. And I think that this is going to make a lot of difference, man. You get our reactions. You're pumped after the show. I mean, whenever I watch podcasts or listen to podcasts, that's one thing I look for is right after the show goes off, man, I'm so pumped up. I've got that adrenaline flowing, and I just want to hear what other people think about it, what other people thought. Did my thoughts match up with theirs? And now you have the chance to do that with us.
That's exactly right. And one of the things that all of our listeners have told us in the past is that one of their favorite segments that we do, yes, don't think we forgot about our segments, because all those are coming back. One of our listeners' favorite segments is booking the territory. Very, very soon, my friends, you are going to get Booking the Territory in a whole new way. Jared and I are both grinning from ear to ear right now because we are pumped about how we are going to bring you Booking the Territory. Stick around because it is going to be awesome. Again, make sure you're following us on social media for all of the updates on these things. We have a new partnership with an indie wrestling promotion that I have made some contacts with. Those guys are going to be featured on our show in episodes to come. So, very excited about that. Make sure you follow us on social media. Buy one of these fancy t-shirts, prowrestlingtees.com/PBW podcast. Guys, there's 4 designs up there right now. The more you buy, the more we can put up. So, we've got all kinds of good ideas, but we need you to buy the shirts so that we can put up more stuff. Okay? Follow us, buy shirts. Make sure you subscribe to us. Hit the little subscribe button on YouTube because every time that a new episode drops, you're going to get an alert and it's going to pop up right on your device. Again, every episode, this is new, guys. Every episode is going to have video. You're going to get to watch Jared and I and our special guests when we have guests on. You're going to get to see us in person do this podcast. If you want your traditional podcast, go to your Apple Podcasts, go to your Spotify's, your Google Plays, all those things, because we're right there as well. Okay. That's it, man. That is it for our previews of WrestleMania and NXT TakeOver. Anything you want to add before we sign off and take this thing home?
Well, a couple things here on my shirt that I have. It's not one of ours, but you can see there. That's the last WrestleMania we went to. Right there, Statue of Liberty, New York. Look at this. I'm getting backwards. It's almost like X-ray, man. That's why I do things show backwards on this. I'm going to have to get used to it. The other thing I want to say is that Sam Roberts on his podcast mentioned that most people out there, with the exception of a few, would even care that this is AJ's triple crowning moment. And then I thought of you because you are one of those. And you just can't help yourself, and that's okay.
AJ's the man, though. AJ's got to get that grand slam in his 5 short years in WWE. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer already. I mean, this just solidifies it right here. Get him that tag team strap and go on. All right, man. That covers it, man, for our first episode back. We hope you have enjoyed the first episode of season 2 or the comeback tour, whatever you want to call it. You want to give the old, so people can see it now, the old Larry Sabisco sign off. For Jared Justice, my name is Chris Belcher. Thank you so much for joining us on the Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast. Make sure to follow us at PBW Podcast. You can follow me right there at Chris Belcher 24. And let me throw this guy up here. You ready? You can follow him at JWJust01. That's on Instagram, so make sure you check us out. Guys, if you're watching this video and you see some hiccups, sorry, we're still learning this thing. But for my brother from another mother, Jared Justice, the whole podcasting show, I am your phenomenal host, Chris Belcher. Thank you so much for joining us on the Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast. We'll catch you guys down the road.